Will Levis ain't that good. I was extremely happy for him, and I can't say that enough, and I'll just throw this out there right now. And it feels like I'm on the apology tour this year. I've already done so many of these, but I owe Will Levis a big apology. For me to sit up here and tell you guys the past 2 years Will Levis ain't that good of a quarterback, and then he goes out there and does this in a big-time NFL game, I look like an idiot. I wish I could sit up here and say I have some inside source and knowledge on this guy, but I don't. It's plain and simple. I've told you guys this for the past 2 years. Will Levis ain't that good. Well, this has been the most highly requested video on the channel within the past 24 hours, and most of you know why. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, over the past not just year, but the past 2 to 3 years, probably longer than that, has given Will Levis a harder time than me, myself, and I. I have critiqued this man as much as you could possibly critique somebody without it being labeled as hating. And I wouldn't label it as hating, because trust me guys, I'll let you know when I'm hating on somebody. I've just tried to call things how I see it, and at Kentucky, Will Levis was never really that good. If you don't want to take my word for it, because I know some people aren't going to like that I still say that, let's pull up his stats, why not? As you can see right here at Kentucky, first year there, 24 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, not that good. And the next year, 2022, the year he's supposed to win the Heisman Trophy, 19 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Pretty much 2021 and 2022 were a carbon copy paste. And I also want to make this evidently clear, it's not just the stats I looked at, he didn't pass the eye test for me either. Every single time he played a big time opponent like Tennessee or somebody else like that, he never impressed me. He always had a bad game. To make a long story short, I think I'll get the point. Wasn't high on him in college and coming out of college either. I tried telling everybody he wasn't going to be a top 10 pick and he might not even get selected in the first round, and we saw what happened. And to finish up the backstory here, I'm sure many of you might have saw this video I posted 6 months ago, and yeah. You see it. To sum up this 21-minute video, all I stated in that video is the reason Will Levis didn't get selected and he didn't get drafted in the first round is because he wasn't that good. However, despite all that, despite all the naysayers, he did get selected with the first overall pick in the second round, not the first round, but the second round by the Tennessee Titans. Me personally, and this is just me, and I'm not backing away from these claims, I still believe this, I thought the Titans should have selected Hendon Hooker, the quarterback for Tennessee. I thought Hendon Hooker was better than Will Levis. They're around the same age, but they didn't do it. They got Levis. And it appeared and seemed like Levis was going to be in a pretty good and ideal situation. Unlike CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, although the Texans have overexceeded expectations, Will Levis didn't go to a really bad team. He went to the Titans. The Titans aren't great, don't get me wrong, but we saw this yesterday, and I'll get to this in just a second. It seems like the Titans, the only thing they're missing is a quarterback. And to go on top of that, why I say he was put in a pretty ideal situation is because he just had to beat out Willis, which, by the way, he ain't that good. We all know that. And also Ryan Tannehill, and he's on his way out. The Titans are ready to move on from Ryan Tannehill. They just can't because they don't have a better option. Everybody and their mom knows this. Even casuals know this. Heck, I'd even say below casuals know this. Ryan Tannehill's not going to lead you to a Super Bowl. And I don't even know if he's good enough anymore to lead you to a 7-10 season. He just gets worse and worse and worse every single year. You hate to see it. But, and I have a really big but, despite all that being said, you would think Will Levis has a decent shot of winning the starting job, and it didn't go good for him in the camps. We kept up with this situation very closely if you've been following up with the channel, and Malik Willis was outperforming him. So not only was Will Levis not just going to win the starting job, he wasn't even the backup quarterback. I'm going to remind y'all, it wasn't a great situation. I remember it just like it was yesterday. It happened several months ago where I was showing you video clips where Will Levis, he's fumbling snaps in practice. He's overthrowing receivers 10 yards in front of him. It was ugly. I mean this with no disrespect to Malik Willis, but do you know how bad you got to be performing in practice for you to be the quarterback behind Malik Willis? I think Malik Willis is a great person, great human being. He donates a ton of money to charity, but this is a football take. This isn't personal. I said this from day one when Willis was coming out of Liberty, that he's not going to be an NFL starter, and at best, he's a backup. Ain't nothing wrong with being a backup. I think he could win you some games here and there, but he's no starter. And I think that for the most part is held true and will continue to hold true, and I think Willis will be fortunate just to stay in the NFL. We're not here to talk about Willis, though. Anyways, getting a move on here and fast forward time to our current day. Yesterday, it was the day. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Will Levis, yesterday on national TV, got his opportunity, and he didn't let it go to waste. And I always go back to this because I think in life, not just for football players, but for most people, You get one shot at a great opportunity. And I can't help myself, I always think of that quote that Eminem said in the song Lose Yourself. Applying that to this situation with Will Levis, I think it goes hand in hand. A lot of times for quarterbacks like this, especially coming off the bench, you really only get one shot, maybe two. It's surreal to think about this, but if Will Levis would have went out there yesterday and thrown 2 interceptions, not only would he have probably not have played again this year, but he might not have played again in his career. He might have been labeled as a bridge quarterback that could never lead a franchise. But, and I have another big but, that didn't happen. We are now having the conversation of, and we'll get to this in just a second, is Will Levis a franchise quarterback? Can he be the guy for Tennessee? It worked out perfectly because as I was working on my Week 9 recap for the college football videos we do on Sunday, this game was on TV and I watched it from start to finish. I saw Will Levis come in and every single touchdown he threw, you could just feel the hype building even more. And I'll get to this in just a second, but what impressed me about all of his touchdown passes is they weren't these 10-yard slants and the receivers did all the work. No. These were deep balls. Accurate and precise deep balls at that. To give you somewhat of a perspective, though, if you didn't watch this game, Levis, he couldn't have played any better. He played like a Pro Bowl quarterback. 19 for 29. You'll take that. 238 yards. That's good. 4 passing touchdowns. That's also really good. And a quarterback rating of, why did I say quarterback like that? Quarterback rating, sorry, of 130.5. Clap it up. Just clap it up for good old Will Levis here. Have a day, kid. Have a day. I say have a day, kid. I don't know why. He's older than me, but you get the point. If you watch this game like myself, I couldn't help but smile for him. Seeing his every time he threw a touchdown, they panned over to his family. It was awesome. I get it. I've critiqued Will Levis, and all of you are going to say, Matt, you got to eat your words, eat the crow. And I will happily eat the crow. I will happily say, yeah, Will Levis proved me wrong. Because despite what some of y'all think, just because I say Will Levis ain't that good of a quarterback, that doesn't mean I hate the guy. That is a football take. People get that twisted. I don't want y'all to get it twisted. I can have a football take, and it has nothing to do with him personally. I was happy to see Will Levis go out there and throw 4 touchdown passes and just see all that hard work he's put in pay off. I was extremely happy for him, and I can't say that enough, and I'll just throw this out there right now. And it feels like I'm on the apology tour this year. I've already done so many of these, but I owe Will Levis a big apology. For me to sit up here and tell you guys the past 2 years Will Levis ain't that good of a quarterback, and then he goes out there and does this in a big-time NFL game, I look like an idiot. It's like that one meme that goes around on Twitter and Instagram where Shaqs says, I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. That's all I got to say. My apologies to Will Levis. He proved me wrong, but you got to look at it from my perspective. I watched this guy ever since he was at Penn State, and I'll tell you this much. This recent game he played for the Titans, he looked better in this game than he did in any other college game. And he played college football for 4 years. Granted, at Penn State, those 2 years really didn't count. But at Kentucky, in the 2 years I watched him, every single game, he never played this good. It's crazy to me that his best performance I've ever witnessed came in an NFL game, and really his first game at that. And now this leads me up to what I really want to get into, my biggest question about all of this. And let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'm extremely curious, and I might read off some of these comments in a video later in the week if we talk about this again. Are we going to label this as a fluke, a one-hit wonder, or do we start running with this narrative that Will Levis is legit and he's the real deal? Because here's a conversation I think a lot of people ain't ready for. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and now Will Levis, this is the best performance out of any of them. I want you to think about this. Imagine if C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young would have did this in any NFL game this season. Imagine. So what are we going to do? I'm asking y'all. Are we labeling this as a one-hit wonder, or is this a franchise guy? Let me know. I'll give you my 2 cents on this, and we'll end it off here. The way I'm going to evaluate this situation and analyze it is the same way I handle my own life. I never try to get too high on the highs, and I never try to get too low on the lows. So with that being said, I'm going to apply that to this situation. I am going to praise him for this game like I did in this video. He played awesome. Couldn't have played any better. But for me at least, and maybe you feel differently, but I need to see a little bit more. I need to see this consistently. It's only been 1 game. If he does this next week and the week after, whew, I think we're having a different conversation. I like what I saw, but can you do it again? And again, and again, consistently week in and week out, because that's what it's going to take. I'll give you a great example that happened in NFL recently. The quarterback for the Bears, the Tyler Bagent dude, is that how you say his last name? If I'm saying it wrong, I do apologize. Last week, he looked better than Justin Fields. He looked amazing. And then we saw what happened this week. It's like, oh yeah, hype's over. One-hit wonder. You see what I'm saying? So for that reason alone, I'm just going to be a little patient on this. There's many more things I could say. I'll leave it at that. Good game, Levis. Good game. Let me know your thoughts down below. But Roman!